The first is just to review the minutes, if anyone had any questions or comments, if I messed anything up. Happy to hear.
The minutes?
No. Yes, the minutes. All good?
Yeah.
Sweet, okay, so the minutes are approved. So the next topic of discussion is the auxiliary dwelling units concept that we are discussing. One of the things that we talked about last time was wanting to have people who are experts in this bring forth more information for us. And I did reach out to Valerie Daly with LISC, and she has is working to bring together a collection of architects and planners who can put on a presentation for the city and answer questions that we might have and talk about some sort of best practices. So that's something that I'd like for us to talk about when we think we would be able to put that on. My hope would be that we could do it at the community center and have a lot of people come in. Does that sound like August is reasonable for you folks, for us to try to make that happen?
Sure.
Okay. My assumption is evenings would be best, and I know you have some evenings that are blocked off.
I play on Thursdays and Mondays, so any other night.
Not Thursdays or Mondays. All right. Did we have any other updates from you folks about auxiliary dwelling units? No? Okay. Well, then I'd like to invite the folks who came in, if you had things you would like to say on auxiliary dwelling units. You could just come up and just say your name. We're going to be super informal.
Okay. Ben Eilerman. I live at 4220 Carter Avenue. And so I come as a small landlord. We own a duplex on Delaware Avenue. I'm an architect. I'm a real estate developer, and I've been a general contractor. And so I think I can speak to a lot of the issues around these accessory dwelling units. And I just want to offer my enthusiastic support for allowing ADUs in the city of Norwood. I think that it provides a tremendous opportunity to build our housing stock. And I think we've all seen in the headlines that the region is in a tremendous need for units, particularly affordable units. And the accessory dwelling units provide an excellent opportunity for that. And two, I think that the building stock in Norwood provides a great opportunity for this, particularly with the prevalence of detached garages that are already here in Norwood. And so there's an opportunity to take those existing structures and to enhance them, to utilize, just as the name implies, these are accessory units, so they provide a lot of affordability and construction since you're not providing a new sewer tap, no new electric service. And so I think it's an exciting potential for the city to grow and to do that in kind of a creative and responsible way.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hi, my name is David Thompson. I am also a Norwood resident for 18 years, 4228 Ivanhoe. In my professional world, similar to Ben, I actually work in real estate development and specifically in affordable housing. We do build affordable housing in Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio. And so I spend a lot of time thinking about housing affordability. And, it has been a national issue. And, in the last 2 or 3 years, it has more and more become a really prevalent local issue here in Norwood. And so just when I saw this, I didn't just on the agenda, I had no idea what it was about, but some of us were like, we want to let people know we think this is a great idea. Because I think, when you study affordability, there's 3 ways that places can be affordable. Number 1, you don't want, because that's if nobody wants to live where you live. If there's no demand, then you can have an affordable neighborhood. Number 2 is you can try to put rent or income restrictions through programs And that's hard, and it's complicated, and I spend a lot of time trying to attract those funds, and there's just a limited amount of those funds to go around. The third way that you can make sure that places are affordable is if you just add units. So if you work on the supply side, but it really matters what kind of units. In a place like Norwood, it matters what kind of units you're adding. So we don't have a lot of vacant land that we can build. You know, there's some, and we should use that wisely. But I think that a lot of our added units can be through creative uses of things like accessory dwelling units, being okay with 2, 3, 4 family units that have historically given Norwood various levels of affordability. And then creative use of zoning is another way that I think we can look to add different types of units. Because I think if you look at, you know, what's out there right now, the single family market in Norwood is fine. It is taking care of itself. I saw a house pending for almost $500,000. And what is not is good supply is options for folks who have already raised their family in Norwood and now would like to downsize. Friends of ours lived on Tilden Avenue for 24 years, just sold their house. They'd love to stay in Norwood, and they're having a hard time finding something that's smaller, that is, in the neighborhood that they want to be in. And so I think that I wanted to encourage you, I think accessory dwelling units, again, I don't even know what it is, but number 5 says 4 family support. 2s, 3s, 4s have been a way, I think, in Norwood that we've always had a variety of housing options. And I think more and more that is a way that somebody who has their first job is going to be able to stay in Norwood. Somebody who's downsizing is going to be able to stay in Norwood when you no longer need the 2,000 square foot 3-bedroom house. So I just want to encourage you more than anything, and it sounds like this is just the start of a process, which I think is great. But really, adding density is, I think, one of the best things that we can do in Norwood. And, I know just anticipating that there's always folks that hear density is a bad word, but Norwood in 1950 and 1960 had 35,000 residents, and we have 20,000 now. So there is room to add density in a way that I think makes sense and is organic to Norwood. And I would suggest that 2 families, 3 families, accessory dwelling units is one of the things that will help Norwood to be a thriving, walkable community that has different types of options of housing for different types of people, not just a bedroom community, because we are not going to out-suburb the suburbs and try to have quarter-acre lots and everything. So I'm excited that you guys are talking about this. I hope to kind of be part of whatever, is coming up, but it's exciting to see this on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That reminds me, when we were at the housing summit for Cincinnati, density came up a lot. And it was like, we're talking about people. Density is like, we don't want to increase density. I'm like, these are people, not, your next door neighbor. Mm-hmm. So thinking about that. So I've been looking into the CRAs, and you guys might be able to help with this. I've been sitting with Mike and Catherine at Alloy on really trying to maybe redirect our CRAs within Norwood to help with affordable housing, help maintain our affordable housing, and keep it a safe place to live. And I'm still waiting on the data. We have a ton of the 4 units, right? We don't have a lot of 5 or plus, maybe a few 8 or plus. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at the ordinance that was passed in 2009 on our CRAs. Currently, if it's a 3 unit or less, you don't have to go through council. You can just go to the city and get that CRA. So I've been just trying to brainstorm and see. Noah's supposed to be giving us some data on this is how many 4 units we have in Norwood. Like, is it worth it? I have the data on how the CRAs have been used in Norwood. So that's something, I don't know if you guys have any input on that. So I was thinking, hey, what if we do it to 4 units and allow it to be like a non-owner occupied can still possibly use that CRA and just go through the city and not have to go through the whole production of coming to council and doing that. So that was one of my thoughts, just talking to everybody. And then also Mike mentioned, Mr. Skelly, sorry, that in this ordinance in section 5F, there's a list of among the factors that the city of Norwood may consider in reviewing exemption application, include but are not limited to, and it kind of goes through a lot of things there. But we could add in creation of affordable housing, as well as just another thing that we could add in to that ordinance. And then, I thought this was interesting, there used to be a community reinvestment area housing council. But I don't believe we have that anymore. Are you here for that?
I probably was.
Yeah.
But I probably wasn't paying attention at that time. But this is an interesting discussion we have here, because I'll be honest, I have been here for 50 years, and if I may.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
So 40 years ago, when we were in the middle of the industrial age here in Norwood, we had Zumbiel and playing cards and General Motors, and I mean we were an industrial town. And then people were taking their homes and they were splitting them up and they were renting. That's probably my ear things. So, and this is what we were doing 40 years ago. We were packing people in these homes, room by room, because we had so many people coming in from Kentucky and Indiana and everybody working here in Norwood. So now it's interesting, and I've spent my career, I'm 30 plus years at remodeling. I'm a general contractor, and I've spent my 30-year career doing just the opposite, taking multifamily homes, turning them into single-family homes, because that's what we wanted here lately. So it's just really interesting now, to watch
Go back.
circle. Here we are again, and we're trying to pack. So, and I understand, but it just goes against everything that I have been working towards for the past 30 years. So it's kind of interesting just to hear it and to hear everybody, say that that's what they want now. So,
It's figuring out that balance, right? I think the single families, it's great. I mean, our house was a 4-unit, went to a 1.
Yeah.
But we're also, talking to the school district and things, like we're losing families from the schools. It's just finding that right balance. Because the single family houses, I mean, they help with tax, right? Tax,
super interesting. I'm not
Yeah.
going to lie to you. I'm really.
One of the things that makes me think of is where I'm from in New York, our high schools we would need to build a new high school, and then the population would go down, and like my high school closed and became a middle school. So when the population went down. So there sort of needs to be, I think, some flexibility in moving up and down, because actually we're under 20,000, we're at 19,000. So from 35, right, down to 19 is a huge drop.
Even the building, even in the building department as a practice, because I've been dealing with the building department for years.
Forever, yeah.
Practice has been to not allow the multifamily. They actually are encouraging the single-family dwellings for years now. I mean, I think now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody can
Well, you
correct
can't
me.
turn them back now.
But
It's
right, so
single-family.
I've always told that because I just bought a home on Hunter, and they had a double. They had a kitchen on the second floor. Only one entrance. There was a kitchen entrance, but I turned it into a 3-bedroom single-family home. I just did that last year. So it's just interesting that 15 years ago we were encouraging the opposite,
Right.
and here we are talking about. And then I guess the only thing that comes to mind is if we're talking garages and sheds and things like that, or where they, where plumbing and where they're going to use a restroom and where they're going to shower and things like that comes to mind. But maybe I'm thinking something different than others.
So an auxiliary dwelling unit is a fully contained dwelling. So it would have bathroom, kitchen, sleeping area.
Okay, all right.
So it's fully independent. And
So we would be building these.
they could be built, and this is
Okay.
part of what we're going to be talking about. They could be built, they could be retrofitted, they could be, I have a garage, a detached garage, and I'm going to turn that into a dwelling. Or maybe I have they're all over the place out west, the garages with the apartment above.
Okay.
That happened in California, they have a lot of those. And as we're having this conversation, the other part is we can decide how aggressive we are maybe we decide we're gonna do a pilot project, and we're gonna do 3 of them, 10 of them, see how it goes. If it works great, then we can make it bigger. If it not, then we sort of can let it sit. So I don't think that we necessarily, because what I don't want is people feeling like we're gonna be putting a granny shed in every backyard.
You have people say that. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I don't think that that's the vision, but I think that there's certainly plenty of properties where that would be ideal. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like I said, it's interesting to me. Over in Ward 4, where I'm at,
Yeah.
we're congested, so it's going to
Yeah.
be a little more difficult over there than maybe some other areas in Norwood. So, I mean, it's just an interesting conversation. It's full circle. You know, history repeats itself. Here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting old enough to understand.
To be the
this.
next, be in the next
Fully-
cycle of it.
Fully understand how history repeats itself. And
Bell
I
bottoms
should
are
probably
next.
be quiet now.
Hey, if I could share some responses, I've had similar conversations with, I had this conversation with Mark in the building department on Friday, and I agree it's been a sin, frankly, what's happened to some of these old houses, right, that have just been majestic, and all of a sudden they're, entryways are chopped up, and stairways and banisters are, taken down. In our house on Carter, not an ounce of trim was left in it. It was put up with paneling. And I don't think that when I think about density or accessory dwelling units, that's what I'm thinking. And I think there's ways to there's already ways that we can deal with that. Like, as a contractor, right? Like, when we did the building on the corner of Carter and Mills. So that's a Lydia's house building. I saw you across the street yesterday, working on a porch.
Alone?
Yeah, I saw.
Ripping off the second floor roof.
Yeah, I saw that. That truck was overflowing. But all of a sudden, to do a multifamily in there, to do it right, like, it takes a lot to take something from kind of a single family or this old construction to put in the ratings, the required fire ratings, to put in the required separation of furnaces and stuff. And so there's some already guardrails around that. The other thing, I think there would be ways to write these ordinances to say existing structures, you've got to go through BZA, which I sit on, or you got to go through something else that you create a hurdle for it. I will say that there are some buildings that were like 4 families or larger that sat vacant, particularly through 2008, 2009, when, where I'm at in West Norwood was just decimated with vacancy. That lost their status as a multifamily. And so that got really hard when all of a sudden there's a building across from the community center. I think it's painted blue right now. Big building, was a 4-family, right? I went in, I measured it up, I saw everything there that was a 4-family, but it couldn't go back as a 4-family. And it was just like gigantic to be 2 townhomes, which it ended up being, and apparently I was wrong because people are living there. But I think that was an opportunity lost because of the way the code is written now. So yeah, I think there's ways to kind of deal with that. And I don't know anybody who wants to see, right, the presidential district chopped up into student apartments, right? And I would say that part of what we're seeing now is the market respond and saying that, that's not your highest and best use, and to put it back as a multifamily is going to be very difficult. So, and then accessory dwelling units, did you ever watch Growing Pains?
Sure.
Yeah, Mike used to live in an accessory dwelling unit. Remember when he moved out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's all we're talking about,
How old are you?
Yeah, see? So, I mean, they'd have to be constructed, right? They're sticks and bricks like anything else. So you're just, in a lot of scenarios that I've seen, You can kind of hide them within the roof structure, right? You can do like storage trusses up there, so you get that livable area in the truss space. Some of them do go full like second floor, but yeah, I think there's ways to do architecture review panels and things like that to make sure that they meet the way the neighborhood works. So, yeah.
I'm all for it.
All right.
I'd love to rent a few more units out. To be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I'll shoot out an email to Valerie and give her a couple dates, and make sure that we can do it at the community center. And then we're gonna need to try to get this out, the word out to as many folks as we can. We can certainly do an email blast, post on the city website. Any other suggestions for how to get the word out about this? You guys will tell all your friends.
We found it on the sunshine list.
Oh, okay.
I did, yes. Lots of friends.
Okay, so we'll do a lot of word of mouth. So that will be my homework. I'll get that going, and hopefully we can do that in August. Anything else on auxiliary dwelling units? Oh, okay. Next, this is super brief. Relationship with Xavier student residents, our neighbors. Just want to give a heads up that Candace and I are still working with Kramer and the building department and the health department, trying to continually work to find some better ways of interacting with our student neighbors in a way where they feel part of the community. They are our neighbors, and as such, how can they be also respectful neighbors? So that's an ongoing conversation. Their move-in days are August 17th and 18th, and we're going to try to do some more outreach around that time. I think that's it about that. That's just more of a point of interest. You want to say something? You got to look. You got to look? Okay.
I'm completely interested.
All right. We're just going right down the list. Next was one of the things we talked about was doing a landlord tenant rights training, as this might be right up your alley.
I'm pretty well trained, but let's continue.
Maybe you could do the training, is what I was saying.
Okay.
I wasn't calling you out.
Now you're talking.
There you go.
Okay,
One of the things that was recommended from the housing action plan was that we do not only landlord training, like best ways to write your leases, best ways to, talk with your tenants, but also what tenant rights. What are your rights as a tenant? So Alexis had been looking into that.
Yes. I'm currently speaking with one nonprofit right now, and they are more focused on tenant rights, but I always think that's good for landlords to know as well. But that's all I have on my horizon.
Where are they? It's that one group, they do help with, you guys probably know, Real Estate Investors Association of Greater Cincinnati. They do landlord training, and they're just a resource as well to landlords for help with anything. I think Deborah Collins was my contact there. They are trying to continue to grow their operation, so that's what they're doing right now. They had some other ideas too that I thought would be beneficial to Norwood residents, but they're good for a landlord resource. And a lot of people can just sign up. I know I've talked to a few landlords and they say, yeah, I get their email. I don't know what follow-up they get from that point, but.
Is that something we could ask them to do, like at our community center?
Yeah.
And we could have pizza and have the landlords come?
Yeah, and they were also interested in starting a program to help residents who might not own other properties, but who are interested in purchasing a property that they might walk by every day. So they're also helping to train, but also maybe financially assist if someone shows interest in that too. So they had some good ideas that I know they're just trying to regroup with everybody.
Do you want to reach out to her and see if she could do that piece of it?
Yeah, I could do that.
That'd be awesome.
Candace, just shoot me her information.
I get all my training through my wife. So
Could she do a community?
She trains me well.
training? So, I'm sorry, Alexis, you said your group was predominantly
They do more tenant rights.
tenant
group.
rights, okay.
Yeah.
Would there be any benefit, and I don't think so, having them all on the same night?
We could do that. I haven't talked to them about how long their general outreach, like, presentation is. But once I figure that out, that could possibly happen.
Oh, what do you guys think?
I'd ask the organization you're speaking with, and
Yeah.
they
Right.
might have a better,
And
because it sounds a little conflicting, but I'd ask them, they might have a better, you might want to do it on separate nights, but maybe it is appropriate to do it together. I'd ask
I know.
them.
I'll check with them first.
Okay.
To see what they're thinking.
Sweet, sounds good.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, the next thing was the four-family support. So to fill you guys in on that, that was another thing that was from the Housing Action Plan. And because we do have this stock of four families, which, actually, I live next door to a four-family, and, the rents are pretty reasonable. The ones next to me are really generous-sized one-bedrooms that have like a really nice sunroom, and I think they're $750 a month. So you could call it a two-bedroom or a big-size one-bedroom, which I think is in the affordable range. So how can we help these four families keeping their property up so we don't have the vacant properties? And sorry, Candace, I was trying to look. I thought the Housing Action Plan had a list of how many there were.
I know, I was just looking through it too.
And
Miss Hoover, what street are you on?
Spencer,
Spencer, okay.
Pepe is do you know Pepe? He's a landlord. He owns a couple properties in Norwood.
It sounds familiar, but I can't picture who it is.
Okay, there's a great pickup truck.
I found like it's like percentage of our population that are renters, if they're married with children, single person with children, or families without children, we get like the renter percentage on there, but I don't have.
I
I don't know
have
if they listed it by dwelling.
1,439 units are duplexes or two-family. 2,676 are small multifamily with 3 to 19 units. So 4
Spread.
is not pulled out. But I
And Norwood,
know,
you're speaking, you got it, is that, okay.
that's the Housing Action
You're
Plan.
quoting, okay, awesome.
Page 14.
Yeah, 'cause
An 11% vacancy. Did Mr.
Mike
Skelly
has
have
it here.
this?
Mr. Skelly just provided it. So 3 to 4 in Norwood, which is about 16.5% of our, we have about 1,641, 3 or 4.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, so these are 2020. I think I might have distributed something earlier from 2019. But as you can see, this was just a quick fact sheet for accessory.
Thank you. So one of the things was trying to find, a recommendation was to find a financial, like a bank, that would be able to provide specified products for people doing those multifamily, specifically like the four-family. And that was something you were gonna look into, Alexis?
Yes, I have not. I'm sorry. I fell back on that one.
That's okay. So that is ongoing, we will
Ongoing.
say, ongoing.
Let me make a note.
And, yeah, I'm just reading from the minutes from last time. Are there units in bad shape? Let's explore financing to help remodel, creating a lending product. How can we create incentive to landlords to keep the rents low? So those were some of the conversations around that. And one of them was lending. So to ask area realtors who their lenders are, ask homeowners, that kind of thing.
I have a meeting scheduled next week, actually, with the local real estate.
Oh, sweet,
local, so
perfect.
hopefully that will. It was supposed to be last week. Got kicked.
We're still in a pandemic, it's all good. Anything else on four families?
Well, so that's where like that, I talked about it early with the CRA.
CRAs.
Maybe looking into and talking further about that with building department and so on, like really seeing if changing some of that, going from a 4-unit. There's also like, you have to live in the building, you know, to get the residential one, and so obviously a lot of those are probably not owner occupied. So going through that with the experts might be something to see if it helps.
Yeah, and I would like to know if the CRA's price tenants out ultimately.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
Because I know that happened, I mean, we've only approved one when
Yeah.
I've been present, and he was
He was priced out.
that particular landlord was pricing out two of the three residents
Yeah.
that live there.
So is that a separate meeting you want to have? Or do you want to put that on the agenda for the next
Yeah.
committee meeting and
I'll
they
keep-
can come and present?
Yeah, because I'll keep reaching out. I need to meet with a few more people on thoughts, ideas with it all, so we can put it on the next one.
Okay.
Give thoughts, Sean.
But it's
That's a
an
hard one.
idea.
That's a tough one.
I know.
I mean, if you're gonna.
'Cause, I mean, you want the
if I buy
property-
a house and I put
Yeah.
$100,000 into that house.
Yeah.
You wanna
I mean,
get
I'm looking
profit.
for.
And we all want the
Yeah.
property
return on my investment,
improved.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just not in I'm not in the business. I mean, I don't know. That's just a hard one, man. I understand. That's, people are listening to you and they're thinking, wow, she's trying to help us. But that's
But you
that's
also
a
wanna
tough
help
one
the
right there.
landlord.
In Norwood, that's a hard one. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
And what that balance is, and what it would look like, and if it's even worth it, so just, I'll continue the conversation, and then if we want to talk further about it at the next meeting.
Cool. All right, and then I guess not lastly, but unfinished business. So real quick, one of the other items was the network of support. That also came out of the Housing Action Plan. And Lisa, our secretary, the council secretary, is working on developing that. I've given her a bunch of names. I've gotten some resources from Woven Oak, has some good resources, United Way. So she's gathering a list, and once we have that together, we'll be able to put that on our city website. So that's in process. And then code enforcement with the repair improvement plan. Basically, we talked about this, right, Mike, briefly? Or am I having we're having a senior moment, or maybe we didn't talk about it. Yeah. So let me tell you what it is, and you can answer it now. Code enforcement with repair improvement plan to access Hamilton County funds. So this is out of the.
Was this for sidewalk repair?
No. This is like out of PWC, people working cooperatively.
Oh.
They get the big chunk of money. And so the way that people working cooperatively gets their money, it comes from the federal government, and they give some to the city of Cincinnati. Chunk, they get a big bunch of money. And then Hamilton County gets some money. So Norwood is part of Hamilton County, so we've got to share it with all the other communities in Hamilton County. So there's a possibility that there's going to be some more money coming in, and sort of like what Mike did with the facade grant, is to have some thoughts on what we can do with the money when and if we get it, in terms of code enforcement.
Correct, yeah. So with regards to the community development block grant fund, there is, again, each year they have like an action plan, and they have like a 3-year revolving. So the name escapes me, but there is a municipality that uses their community development block money for code enforcement. Where I came from, we were given $80,000 per year, and that paid for code enforcement work. Again, for particular neighborhoods, but then you can kind of expand it to an area. So that was a huge help. Or at least our 3-year revolving, we have the money used for sidewalks, ADA compliance, and those things. So it's a decent variety that you can use it for. Typically for infrastructure or whatever. But again, like I said, where I came from, at least one municipality in Hamilton County is using it for staffing.
Did you say Maria Collins? Maria Collins? Yeah, she's with Hamilton County. That's who I have written down here.
Yeah, if you want information, I can provide it. It's too difficult to get that, but she can provide, or you can talk to the municipalities how it's working out. But it's The big thing with redeveloped block grants is a lot of hurdles, a lot of reporting, you have to adhere to. So sometimes it's a lot easier to pick a specific project and before we're done with for that, as opposed to sometimes monthly reporting, whatever. That's the issue. We have to make sure that it's worth the money that we're getting
Okay.
for the administration.
So I'll put a note that I'll reach out to Maria Collins because I don't believe that I did that. And she's with Hamilton County. Okay. Were there other pieces of unfinished business?
Do we want to put on the agenda for the next one, the reviewing the nuisance ordinance?
Oh, yes. We're doing that in here, right? Not law?
Yeah.
Okay. So nuisance.
I'll find the official number and send it to you.
And then, anybody else? Nothing? Okay. Request to address committee. You guys want to say anything else? A little song and dance? A little
Don't tempt me.
karaoke? No? All right. I think, since we are all here, I want to go ahead and schedule another meeting so we can have it on our calendar. So Mondays and Thursdays are your favorite days, right?
Not Thursday.
I was joking. I said Mondays and Thursdays.
Oh, okay.
That's where we're gonna have all of our meetings
Well,
now.
I just picked up Mondays, so yeah, so Mondays and Mondays are not good for me. Any other night, I don't really like either, but I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Is 2 weeks too soon?
Yes, me.
Well, we're meeting again on the 2nd for
For
Xavier
economic.
Student Housing and Economic.
Too much for one day?
Well, I'm saying like, let's meet again, and so when we have kind of the official stuff from Xavier,
So maybe a week after that?
yeah, the
Okay.
week of the 8th or,
Okay.
We could do it
so-
before regular council meeting on the
Yeah, there's-
9th.
Okay,
yeah, on the 9th.
That work?
on the 9th. Oh, there's the active shooter training that day.
That's on my schedule too.
Yeah, you can go to that?
For the police,
Yeah, they're doing an active shooter training that we can watch.
They invited us.
maybe.
Maybe. Thought it seemed
I don't know.
interesting. Maybe, all right. So 6 o'clock on Tuesday, August the 9th will be our next housing meeting. And we will do it here. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And thank you for coming. I appreciate your interest and support. All right, we're done.